is Biafra Liberation Army Network coming to you again. Please do subscribe, like, share, and comment.
Today, being the 2nd of May of 2025, the trial of Mr. Simon has continued and the court session kicked off very early today. The court started at about 10:45 a.m. In this video, we shall be covering every single details that played out in the courtroom today. For a better context, we are going to use illustrative pictures and videos to better explain or recreate the court session. For the sake of fact-checking us, you can go to the Pai Jahame District Court's official website to get official transcript and official documents from the court session today. With all of that being said, let's kickstart this video in essence. The court session started by the prosecuting lawyer stating that Simon is accused in the district court of participating in the activities of a terrorist group from Finland. According to the indictment, Simon has, for example, ordered weapons for groups seeking independence of the USB movement. Just in case you don't understand what is going on here, the prosecuting lawyer is saying that, or stating that Simon paid for the arms used by the USB soldiers in the southeastern region of Nigeria. Back to the courtroom, the prosecuting lawyer also went a step further to present documents to the judge to back his claim. He claimed that the National Bureau of Investigation, known as the NBI, and the Finnish police did a thorough investigation. They swept through Simon's bank accounts, online accounts, and they have proofs that in 2023 and in 2024, Simon financed the purchase of arms for the USB struggle. The prosecuting lawyer also informed the court that he has a witness who once upon a time was the account officer of Simon. The prosecuting lawyer asked the judge for his permission to bring the financial officer to the stand. The presiding judge nodded his head and said, "Yes, you are free. Please go on." The prosecuting lawyer called upon his witness, codenamed T3, which, like we all know, can probably mean testifier 3. So the prosecuting lawyer called upon the witness, codenamed T3, to take the stance. T3 was sworn in as a testifier and ready to go. The prosecuting lawyer asked T3, "Who are you to this man?" while pointing at Simon. T3 replied by saying, "I worked for Simon from 2023 up until he was arrested by the Finnish police in 2024. The prosecuting lawyer asked T3, "You said you worked for him?" "Yes," replied T3. "In what capacity?" asked the prosecuting lawyer. T3 replied by saying, "I worked for his law firm known as Eka & Co. OY. I handled all the company's financial records and transactions." The prosecuting lawyer followed up by saying, "Did you work for this man on a personal basis? That is, did you work for him outside his law firm and his companies?" T3 replied by saying, "Yes, I worked as his personal account officer back in 2023. "Good," replied the prosecuting lawyer. "So you are saying that you have close access to this man's personal account details?" asked the prosecuting lawyer. "Yes," replied T3. "What can you say about this man?" asked the prosecuting lawyer. T3 replied by saying, "I know this man to be a Finnish politician and a lawyer, but online he leads or he is the prime minister of a certain group in Nigeria." The prosecuting lawyer asked T3, "Is that all you know about this man?" T3 replied by saying, "I have credible documents to show that this man has paid or financed the purchase of arms in Nigeria." The prosecuting lawyer told T3 to present his documents and evidence to the court of law. T3 presented a document written fundraising and crypto transactions of Simon. T3 also followed up by saying that back in 2023, the defendant, which is Simon, did a fundraising for this USB movement. After the fundraising was completed, the monies generated were all converted to bitcoins and sent to a particular wallet. Specialists over time tracked the Bitcoin wallet and they noticed that the Bitcoin was sent to a dark web dealer. Well, just in case you don't know what is currently going on here, T3 is making a very serious claims and allegations that Simon, after doing a fundraising for the USB movement, received a lot of cash, which he used in buying bitcoins. After buying bitcoins, he claimed that Simon went to the dark web and purchased arms and ammunition for the USB movement. Well, just in case this is your very first time of hearing the word dark web, what does dark web even mean? Well, dark web refers to a segment of the internet that you cannot access using our normal Google or using any search engine. Yes, you cannot access the dark web using normal search engines. You have to use a particular browser known as Tor. So the dark web is a section of the internet that is hidden from every other individual out there. It's a very dark part of the internet where a lot of transactions, illegal transactions, are being conducted. is a part of the internet where you can go there, buy arms, pay for the services of a hired killer, buy people's data, people's ATM cards, details, and whatsoever. So the dark web is a part of the internet that is classified as illegal in some countries. Yes, in some countries of the world, it's illegal to access the dark web. But in Finland, it's not illegal to access the dark web. What is classified illegal is the actions you do on that part of the internet. Hope this is very, very clear to understand. So now let's go back to the court session, to the courtroom, and see what followed suit. The prosecuting lawyer informed the judge that T3 is done with their testimony and will leave the stands if the court permits. This is where Simon's lawyer asked the judge to grant him permission to cross-examine T3. The prosecuting lawyer asked the judge to halt the cross-examination request coming from Simon's lawyer because he wants to present officers from the National Bureau of Investigation to testify first before T3 will be examined. The presiding judge turned down the proposals coming from the prosecuting lawyer and asked Simon's lawyer to cross-examine T3 before he leaves the stand. The lawyer from the legal counsel team of Simon walked up towards T3 and said, "I'm going to ask you a series of questions and I want you to answer them with yes or no. Do you understand?" T3 said yes. "Good," replied Simon's lawyer. "You said you worked for my client from 2023 to 2024. Is that correct?" "Yes," replied T3. "What was your job's description? Feel free to give a lengthy explanation." T3 continued by saying, "My work or job was simply to oversee all financial transactions, including issuing payments, collecting debts, and managing investments." "Is that all?" asked Simon's lawyer. "Yes," replied T3. "So you are saying you had access to Simon's company's transactions, both in and out. Is that correct?" "Yes," replied T3. "Do you have access to his funds? I mean, can you make payments on his behalf?" "Yes," replied T3. Simon's lawyer continued by saying, "So it's possible that you can carry out financial transactions for Simon and the company without the signature of Simon?" T3 replied with, "Yes, I can, but I've never done any transactions without my boss's permission." Simon's lawyer continued by saying, "Remember I told you to reply me with yes or no. Please, let's stick with it." Simon's lawyer continued by saying, "So you have access or you have the right to make payments on behalf of the company without Simon or the director's signatories?" "Yes," replied T3. "Good," replied Simon's lawyer. "So it's very possible that Simon was not immediately aware of some transactions, right?" "Yes," replied T3. So let's do a quick analysis of what is currently happening in the courtroom. As you can see, Simon's lawyer is now cross-examining T3. And from what we can gather, the lawyer from Simon is trying to pin down T3 by saying he did some transactions without the signatures of Mr. Simon, which is very possible that T3 must have paid for goods and services using Simon's account without Simon, the owner, knowing what is happening to his bank account and to his transactions. Yes, so this is what we think is currently happening right here. But let's go back to the courtroom and see what followed suit. Simon's lawyer asked, "Have you at any point audit or edit the company's transactions?" "Yes," replied T3. Simon's lawyer continued by saying, "Is it possible that you, T3, can buy bitcoins with the company's money?" Answer yes or no. "Yes," replied T3. At this point, the prosecuting lawyer had to jump in by saying, "My lord, this man is trying to put blames on my witness without any basis or evidence. I see it as a form of bully. This cross-examination should discontinue." The judge said no, stating that Simon's lawyer has a right to cross-examine the witness. Simon's lawyer continued by saying, "Thank you, my lord. I shall continue with my cross-examination. So, T3, it is very possible that you as the account officer can make purchases, including buying of bitcoins, yes or no?" "Yes," replied T3. "Good. Have you ever purchased bitcoin with your personal account?" "Yes," replied T3. "Have you ever accessed the dark web before at any point?" "Yes," replied T3. "Have you ever made any purchase on the dark web before?" Answer yes or no, please. T3 took a deep breath and replied with yes. "Which item did you buy from the dark web?" Well, before we continue this video, let's do some quick analysis of what is currently going on here. Like I've said previously, accessing the dark web or the deep web in some countries are legal, but the actions, what you purchase on the dark web, can be classified as illegal based on the item you purchase. So, accessing the dark web itself is not illegal in Finland. However, the legality of your actions while on the dark web depends on what you do there. Engaging in illegal activities such as buying or selling drugs, weapons, or stolen data is against the law of Finland, regardless of whether these actions take place on the dark web or on the surface web. The only item T3 has purchased from the dark web is a mystery box, which you get to see and understand in this video. So the question here is, what is a mystery box? Because T3 said he's going to say that he purchased a mystery box from the dark web. So in essence, a dark web mystery box is a type of package that you can purchase from the dark web containing unknown items. Yes, this is very simple. You pay for a box. The box is termed a mystery box. You pay for it. There's a price tag to it. You pay and it will be delivered to you. You, the buyer, you don't have any knowledge of the contents of this mystery box until it gets to your home and until you open it. You can find anything. You can find a wristwatch. You can find bracelets. You can find knives. You can find guns. You can find bullets. Like, it's very, very, very random. So this is the kind of box that Simon's account officer back in 2023 purchased. Yes, some people buy mystery boxes from the dark web just for fun. Yes, so it's very possible that T3 purchased a dark web just for the fun of it. But then let's go back to the courtroom and see what follows suit afterwards. So Simon's lawyer asked a very interesting question. Which item did you buy from the dark web? This question was directed to T3. A mystery box, replied T3. And Simon's lawyer asked, which item? Can you list out the items you received from the dark web? T3 said, I bought these items a long time ago. I've forgotten some of the items in the mystery box. Simon's lawyer asked, did you get anything dangerous? It all depends, replied T3. What do you mean? Asked Simon's lawyer. Well, once you buy a mystery box, you cannot determine the content of that box. So I got a mystery box from the dark web and I received a content which can be termed as illegal. Simon's lawyer asked, what item did you get? Please, I really want to know. Name. Place a name on the item. Don't tell me it's illegal or it's legal. Don't tell me it's from the dark web. Don't tell me it's black, white, or green. I want to know the name of the item you received from the dark web. And at this point, the prosecuting lawyer had to step in and calm the whole situation. The prosecuting lawyer told the judge that the content of the mystery box isn't important to the courtroom as we speak, because we are here to attend the case of Simon, a man which we think is linked to the terror group in Nigeria. So the content of a mystery box of my witness doesn't play any role or will not add up to our evidence at this particular point in time. We can create a different date to see the content of my client's mystery box. But right now, we have to deal on Simon's case and deal on his case in full force and in essence. But the judge said, no, we need to know the content of this mystery box because it might somehow, some way be linked to Simon. Well, the whole conversation went on and on for a while and we can't cover every single thing discussed in this video. That is why tomorrow by 8 p.m. we'll be dropping the continuation of what happened today in the court of law, and whatever will happen tomorrow, we'll make a video to compile today's continuation and tomorrow's event. So do well to